let's get straight into the general market performance that we're seeing over on that end. Year to date, we've got this market down 6.4% to today, and the same time last year, this was a market that was up over 15%. What are you making of the kind of activity we've seen year to date?
Yeah, well, 2012 has obviously been, a bit of a tougher year for the Luce. Not as much as activity, and especially in the form of price movements. Like you rightly said, last year this time we're up 15%. This year we're down 6%, and last year one of the best performing markets on the continent. And it looks like for the first time in a long time, this might be a down year for the Lusaka Stock Exchange.
At the same time, we've had the company successfully go through with a $750 million maiden Eurobond, Jimmy. I mean, it's had no immediate effect on trading activity over on the LUSC as yet, but this is certainly something that will test international views on the Zambian economy and, the eventual visibility of this market moving forward.
Yes, it will. I mean, one of the things that the bond does is it's a bit more of an immediate proxy of what's happening. So it sort of tells you at any given time what the international community thinks of the country, especially macroeconomically. And, with the limited liquidity that the Luce has seen to date, that might sort of be a leading indicator of where things are going. So it's very important in that respect. It is expected that obviously with time, as the Luce grows, and as issues around the world starts to calm down and there's more appetite for emerging market equities, that the bond might be a leading indicator of where things are headed. And certainly, it's the response that was taken, with the issue of the bond.
Yeah.
It speaks positively about the broader economy.
Draw a comparison for us, between the kind of activity we're seeing on the bond market side of things, if you're comparing it to equities.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bond market side is obviously, I mean, just not only, that would be with government securities, not so much with corporate bonds, because it's still a relatively small market here. But there's a lot more activity in that respect. A lot of it was hold to maturity, but that's changing with interest rates getting a little lower now. But certainly has historically been more activity, and only driven by, on the stock exchange corporate action. So now we've got the former mandatory offer, which was just concluded. That accounted for a lot of the activity on the exchange. So it tends to be large when it happens, with the equity side of things, but it's only sort of intertemporal when there's a big corporate action.
Talking about corporate news, we've had British American Tobacco out with results. Sales volumes up 31%, operating profit up 35%, turnover rising 27% as well. Overall market reaction to those numbers that filtered through?
Interestingly, nothing. So there hasn't been any price change. I mean, it's certainly fairly strong and positive results. The profits are up 35%. They're paying out a dividend of 70 kwacha, which is about 59% payout, and that brings their trailing dividend yield to about 12.26%, which is fairly significant. It's the highest on the exchange, and probably only just ahead of corporate energy. But like I said, there hasn't been a lot of activity, and this is a trend we've seen. Not much reaction to corporate actions, a bit lagged. So, hopefully we will see, some value going forward in BATs.
Does it surprise you, Jimmy, that even a dividend that sits 40% higher than it was sitting at last year is not incentivizing investors enough?
Well, I mean, it speaks to the broader, the broader, story for the market, I guess, which is that there just hasn't been that much liquidity. So, we saw a similar case with Lafarge, only starting to come in now. The carry forward has been quite slow, and that's just a function primarily of limited liquidity at the moment. And frankly, that's, keeping prices fairly low, and it's also, reducing the response time to corporate action.